a VTuber game development open Q&A session. Today we'll be looking through a new workflow to import custom morph targets for your MetaHuman. So today we'll be basically taking a MetaHuman from Unreal and export it into Blender, sculpt it and bring it back to Unreal, and then use and alter these morph targets at runtime. So before the session starts, I'm just going to quickly show you the end result so that we can have a look at how morph targets can be imported. It also has to be transferred to different LODs, so if you're using MetaHumans, you'll have to transfer the same morph target to across all the LODs, which might take some time, but we're going to try to use some of the tips from today and to create custom morph targets. So as you can see here, I have a custom character that I've created super quickly last night. You can't see any morph targets on it just yet, but I'm just going to open up a MetaHuman, go into the character's face mesh, and show you what it will look like when the morph targets are set. So in here, this is just a normal MetaHuman and doesn't really have any specific morph targets just yet. But to show you the morph targets we have created for this character, you'll see that these are really bad sculpts because I did them really quickly. These are really bad sculpts because I basically sculpted it really quickly and also did it really badly. But basically I've done a morph target that is a melt morph that I thought potentially maybe this game character collides with a certain area and potentially heat, and it will have this melt morph effect. So potentially at runtime we could set some kind of value change and have it kind of just moving like this. Was also thinking of using something like a shrink wrap. This is really silly, but because my Blender skills allow me to just apply random modifiers on everything, I've applied a shrink wrap for the MetaHuman face mesh to map onto a motherboard kind of objects in 3D. So I just did that really quickly last night and thought this would be really funny if a character could just be super glitch like this. Yeah, it suits your aesthetic, Baron. I feel like using these would be really fun. I haven't tried them with tracking yet, which hopefully we'll be getting into a bit later, but the shrink wrap is quite fun. Quite fun to kind of just do really weird characters without messing up with the skeletal mesh's rig. These are basically just shape keys for your characters. You can even apply, like when you're VTubing, you can even apply some of these custom morph targets to your VTuber characters. Maybe it will implode when someone says something rude or all that stuff. So I was just doing some tests and I looked at this new workflow on YouTube and thought I could play with some of it today. So this is basically the result, and to really use them at runtime, all we need to do is going into the character blueprint or the skeletal meshes blueprint, and then on begin play set the morph target. So let's look at using shrink wrap today, and then also the second one. What was the other one I've done as well? The melt morph. So we'll do both of them at the same time. Melt morph. Just a super quick demo, and then we'll be walking through the steps individually. Hopefully we'll have enough time to go through all of the steps. So the other morph target I need is melt morph. Yes. Compile and save. I'm just going to quickly play simulate to see what this would look like. So as you can see here, with custom morph targets, you can create really crazy characters without worrying about, so this could still work with LiveLink, I imagine, because nothing's really changed. It's, nothing's really changed for the character. It is, it's the same kind of workflow to a character that's smiling, because it's just a shape key, so you can apply really interesting animations by just changing your characters into shape keys. So without further ado, let's try to replicate some of this silly stuff on Blender. So once I've stopped playing, you'll see that the MetaHuman character is really just a normal MetaHuman character. And just in my content browser now, you can very easily replicate this process. I'm just going to close this project and open up my second project. So this is a normal third-person map project that I've created just now, and I've imported a MetaHuman to save time. And with this, I've navigated in content browser to MetaHuman's Shireen, which is the MetaHuman's name, and then face, and duplicated the face mesh. So once you get into the MetaHuman blueprint, go into face and find this face mesh in content browser by clicking this button, and I have duplicated this asset. And then I'm going to go to Asset Actions and Export. In here, there's nothing else you need to do. You can basically export the file as it is with the default settings. So FBX 2013 with level of detail checked. Basically, default assets are all fine. Once this is done, we'll need to move into Blender space. The first thing we need to do before we get into Blender is to go into install Autodesk 2013 Converter. And I'll just be sending the link in the chat over here. Autodesk Converter. So in here, this is a converter for FBX from Unreal to retain all the shape keys of a MetaHuman. So if you worked on MetaHumans before, you would probably notice that when you import MetaHumans into Blender directly, all the shape keys would be gone. And so we basically only need this really useful free Autodesk software to convert our files. So I'm just dropping this in the chat now. And for me, I've tried to download the first Windows and that didn't work. So for me, I'll be using the 64-bit Windows version, and that worked immediately. So before getting into Blender, I'll need to get into the Autodesk FBX Converter and I'm now opening up the Autodesk Converter. This is super simple to use. What you need to do is basically drag and drop. So just earlier I have exported this, and I'm just going to quickly drag this in here, and then all I need to do is change destination folder. Let's say I'm just keeping it in downloads at the moment and putting that in a new folder called Owl Tutorial over here. I'm going to select this directory and convert. This will take less than a minute, and once that's done you should see a result that says converted over here. You'll see that the file size hasn't really changed. It's probably reduced a bit, but yeah, that should be done. So once this is done, I'll just close this up and open up Blender. So just opening up Blender, it's taking some time. I've also recently updated my Blender to, I think it's 3.2 something, and the groom editing stuff is really, really cool. Oh, sorry, it's 3.6.2, I believe. The groom editing stuff is really good. So now we're on this new Blender file. I'm going to delete everything and import our new character. So something to note here is that we have quite specific import settings. I've always been doing them really randomly, but I've learned to do it properly now, which is to go on to check manual orientation and check Y forward, Z up. And we won't need any animations, and just checking on, yeah, all of that is fine. And then before, I'm just going to also change my world units to 0.01 and import FBX. Oops. Hopefully that should work. Seems to be loading now. Oops. Might close this up for, so I'll leave my computer a little. It shouldn't be too heavy. Ah, there we go. So this is the MetaHuman with Morph Target, and first I'm just going to open this up and hide all the LOD, the higher LODs, and also hide the kind of the bones. Just to check that this is working, when you click into the LOD 0, you will find all the shape keys you need. So now we need to start sculpting our character. Let's do something really crazy and maybe map this onto something random. So what we can do now is maybe create a new shape key, and I'm going to name this shape key, is there anything we want to create this MetaHuman into? I think something more glitchy would be more fun. So let's do a shrink wrap again, and I'll be pinning this. So now we can shrink wrap this mesh to any mesh, and apply it. Oh, actually we don't. We can do something more. We can do a sculpt one first. So in here, just do sculpt and really mess this face up. This would be our first blend shape, so you can toggle in and out of it by just clicking different shape keys. And then we're going to do something else for our shape key, just to check that it can work. I might import another asset and then just have this, maybe I'll create a cube somewhere. I'll create a cube somewhere, like so. And I'm going to try to shrink wrap this. So in here I will do a shrink wrap, and I'll use the cube as a target. So now it's shrink wrap to to the face is now flattened into a cube. What would this look like? So this would become the blend shape. It's probably not, yeah, it's fine, I guess. It's fine as a test. So what we can do now is maybe we can do some offset so it has some shape to it. Or project, maybe project could work. Something crazy like that. Inside, negative. Something small and crazy, like so. This could work. And then I'm gonna apply the shrink wrap modifier as a shape key. This is really fun. So now we have sculpt and a shrink wrap. And they're ready to be transferred to all of our other LODs. And for this to happen, we'll need another plugin. This is a Blender add-on that I found yesterday as well, and the add-on is called Shape Key Transfer. I'm gonna just put this in the chat as well. I believe I already have this plugin, and so I'm just going to install this in here. It's called, I'm going to install, and it's going to be Shape Key Transfer. Should be this one, Shape Key Transfer. So let me see if this is the right one. Yeah, that should be. Let me see. Might be the other one. Sorry, I'm just confused with the number of of shape keys add-ons I have. Okay, yes, it's this one. So it's ShapeKeyWrap. And it should look like this one. So it's this one, and we'll need to transfer by the list. So what we need to do is select from the bottom onwards. I'll unhide them and select from 7 to 1, and then finish up with Control and then hitting LOD 0 at the same time. Then we can click Transfer by the list. In here we'll see that once you've clicked this button, you'll see that we are transferring shape keys from Morph Target LOD 0 to 7 other objects. So this is correct, and now we can uncheck all. And then we can select these two. We can select these two and transfer shape keys. It should take some time, but not too long. Once it's done, we can hide, we can check them one by one. If you click on LOD 7, you'll see that, yes, the shape keys are ready. And yes, that should all be working. Great. So now this is ready, and we can then export this file onto back to Unreal. So one thing quite important to Unreal is the hierarchy, so we need to make sure the export hierarchy is perfect. And on this tutorial I found a script that will allow us to kind of re-export these assets to make sure they're ordered right. So what we need to do now is go into scripting and go in here, and I'll just be pasting a script that I'll provide later that you can then generate asset by the right order. Once this is ready, you'll see that these are the new assets and these are irrelevant, so we can delete all of them altogether. And we can also delete the Shireen Morph Target empty root, because this won't be relevant as well. Now we'll need to parent these to the root over here, and we'll be doing that, and right click parent and armature deform. So now you'll see that these are all connected to the, oops, I've clicked the wrong button, sorry. These are all connected, they should all be connected to the root. So I'm just going to quickly do that again. So this on this, and then parent with armature deform. I think I keep doing this wrong on the hierarchy. Okay, back. Right, and this time it should work. Cool. And so now we just need to parent it back to the object and parent this to the object as well. Parent object, so that it's within the LOD group, and then within it we will also parent the LOD group to the root. So I believe this is the right hierarchy and it's ready to be exported. Let's give it a go now. So I've just selected A on my keyboard to select all, and hopefully I haven't forgotten anything. Oh yeah, there might be, might need to make sure that the LOD groups will be exported right. Let's give it a go. Export FBX. So now I'm going to name this Morph Target Export and limit to selected objects, and we're going to use manual transform again for Y forward and Z up. In geometry, smoothing will go for face, and we'll make sure apply modifiers is unchecked. Here it says it prevents it from exporting shape keys, but we need those shape keys, so we need to make sure this is unchecked. Don't need animations, and in armature we need to show that the leaf bones are not added automatically. Let's export this FBX and hopefully it's working. Right, let me just quickly check that it is working, and that's all fine. I'm just going to double check if I've missed anything in here that I should find out. So it might be that in the LOD group I need to create in an object property and add custom properties, add a new custom properties And in here I will name this as a string, is that right? Or boolean? Let me have a quick look. Let me have a quick look at my notes, and then we will find out. So yes, so we'll need to name this into a custom property, and it will be a string. And in here we need to make sure that this is an FBX type, and in default value we will place LOD group, which is the same case and name as this word over here. In the default value, LOD group. So in here we can add LOD group, and gonna hit save. I'm gonna save this file again. Targets. Right, so now I'm gonna hit A again and export this FBX. Very quickly check that my settings are right. So again, selected objects, Y forward, Z up, armature, uncheck add leaf bones. Make sure the smoothing is set to face, and make sure that, most importantly, apply modifiers is off. So now we can export this animation, FBX, and we can go back to Unreal. So let me just open up this Unreal project. Right, and Unreal should be opening in 2 seconds. So now we can hover back to the MetaHuman's Shireen face, and in face, remember that we've duplicated an extra skeletal mesh. So Shireen Morph Target will be the character that will be the face mesh that we are applying our morph targets to, and so we will need to re-import this as a new asset. There is a bit of a trick to re-import this asset to make sure Unreal still recognizes this as the same skeletal mesh. It's a bit interesting. What we need to do is hover down and go into the file path and change the source file path of this skeletal mesh. It's also the first time I've done this before, so it's quite interesting. Just making sure that I have the right file. Let me sort my date modified. Okay, cool. So Morph Target export is the file that I'm going to select. I'm going to hit open. So now this has changed the source file path of my skeletal mesh, and then I'll need to also change the import rotation so that it's at 0, 0, 0, and everything should be fine. Yes. Yeah, that should all be good. Once this is ready, we will save this. And going back to Content Browser, we will need to re-import this asset. Super scary, but let's have a try. It's going to take quite a bit of time, maybe up to 5 minutes. So while this happens, it'll just take its time, and Unreal's just going to be freezing a little. But what this is doing is also importing all the LODs at the same time, and it will also there is also a dialog that's going to come up that's going to help you match the shaders. So the original MetaHumans came with different shaders, and it might get messed up when the LODs get changed or new shape keys apply. So with this we need to match up all the materials a bit later. So hopefully that's going to come in a few minutes. But for now I can also send us the links really quickly, and the person who's developed the add-on basically also created this workflow, so it'd be really interesting to see. So ShapeKeyWrap is this link. Realised that link wasn't really working. It's a super useful add-on. Just going to show it on my screen as well, so that you can transfer shape keys from different meshes to another. So yeah, basically this is what I've used, and it's very cool add-on and super simple to use. And it is still importing, re-importing, but once it's done, it's going to be very satisfying. The next few steps after this will be mapping the right materials to each LOD, and to check that the morph targets are working and that they are visible. So hopefully that's all going to be ready in a few minutes. I'm just going to be chilling in the background here. Sorry, it's taking so long. While that's happening, I'm just gonna have a quick chat. How's everything going, Baron? What are your new projects like? Because I saw that new hand that's really cool, which would fit this morph target really well as well. So, because you were showing, I don't know what's your process behind glitching those hands. Did you also use morph targets, or did you use them on? Did you apply them on Blender and then have that as its own skeletal mesh with its own rig? Yay, okay. This is all working. So now head shader, teeth. So what we need to do is map all the materials back to its original one, and we're going to go through each row to click on the corresponding material. So very quickly, saliva, yeah, that's right, saliva, shader, eye left, eye right, eye occlusion, where is that, eye shell, eyelash lower, eye edge, I believe is the cartilage, and eye edge. Done. Can't wait to see this happen. Yay, so it should be working now. Let's double click to see that all the morph targets are ready. So double clicking that now, we see that I think it's got interesting morph targets set up, so I'm gonna just go to base, LOD, make sure that those are transferred. Custom. I need to find that name again. Seems like these LODs on. Okay, yeah, it's working. Cool. So that's the sculpt. That's the sculpt morph target, and we also have the shrink wrap. Very scary. That's the shrink wrap one, and that's the. And then we've also got the other one, which is sculpt. So in any case, it is working, that's all great. We just need to use this MetaHuman at runtime now. So I'm just going to drag this in the space here, which is a third person map. And now we just need to replace the original face mesh of this MetaHuman with the face mesh that we've re-imported, which is Shireen Morph Target. And in the event graph on begin play, we will set Morph Target on the face, and we need to make sure that the names are correct. So I'm going to make shrink wrap. Need to make sure that it is matching exactly the name of the morph targets we've named. Shrink wrap and sculpt, I believe. So compile and save, and we will hit play. And forgot to set LOD, but you'll need to set the LOD as 0, of course, otherwise it won't be seen. So let me just do that very, very quickly. I need to make sure LOD is set at 0, so that this is definitely visible. Hopefully that's all working. So you can see that the head, the MetaHuman head's super glitched up now. And maybe we can even use LiveLink with it. So you can see this green bits up here are actually the groom of the MetaHuman. So what we need to do is just, we can remove them for this character, but if you click into each groom asset, you can change the skeletal mesh to the right one. So morph target is the one we're using, so on and so forth. And then finally, what we're gonna do is maybe try LiveLink, but it might be a bit silly to try that. LiveLink and face, and hopefully it's using iPhone. Use ARKit face. So if I hit simulate, it is working. So this should work with any mocap. Sorry, it's happening so fast. This should work with any mocap asset. And this should work with any mocap asset for your horror characters. You can basically sculpt into much more beautiful things like more alien characters or any of your orc or elf builds. But yeah, I'm very glad to see it's working. Sorry it's a bit of a weird tutorial, but it's definitely a fun one to play with. And some new ways to customize your MetaHuman to make sure that they look very different. Yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Sorry for the wait on the re-importing, but yeah, I'm very glad to see it's working. Hope to see you soon next week.